Hi, this is Jim from Vaudevisuals. I'm here with Nate Puppets, whose show I just saw. It's an absolutely delightful, hysterical romp with some amazing, crazy puppets. So let's talk about how you got into puppetry from back in the day.
So I got into puppetry. I'm a kid of the 90s. That's how I always started. And there were just these amazing puppet shows on in the 90s. Like everyone who worked with Jim Henson started their own shows, and the puppets were really cool. And I were always focused on those. And was always really into that. And then I was a ventriloquist for a little while. I was 11. I got into ventriloquism. And then in high school, I wanted to work with the Muppets and kind of started building more puppets but it's always, even within that, it's always just kind of been weirdly present.
Weirdly in a good way.
Yeah, in a good way. Yeah.
Inspirational and creative way.
Absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely,
It's just, it's very much always just kind of, been there as a little kid and making costumes for stuffed animals and giving them full backstories and full personalities and then acting out little plays and all this stuff like that.
The total fantasy world.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Which is delightful.
Yeah.
And so, up to present day, when did you start physically doing professional puppetry?
I was after high school. I went into real professional puppetry and really learned the real work of being a puppeteer. How to focus, how to move the puppet. Just everything that kind of comes with it. I started learning that, and it sticks around for a while. This stuff kind of happens in 2018, how it looks now, at least 2017, 2018. And I built puppets for a while, then I got kind of discouraged about it and stopped for a while. And then I'm an artist, I'm a visual artist always, kind of before everything. But I drew this character on cardboard, and I looked at it, and I'm like, I want that as a puppet. And then I asked my buddy, and he's like, it'll be this much. And I'm like, that's a lot, and I get why. And then I really thought about it. I'm like, I could build it. I'm going to build it. And ever since I built that one, it's just been ever expanding kind of little universe and world.
A whole cast of characters.
A whole cast. It's a cast. It's multiple casts within multiple things, and characters connect in different ways, and they all kind of have this. It's like you draw a map of the world, kind of, and then I can kind of show you where everything is.
Cool. So your work is very political, and it has a lot of kind of heavy meanings in some of the things that you do. But it's not like a hammer on the head stuff, but it's discreet and fun and playful.
Yeah, it is political. It just kind of ends up that way sometimes, and sometimes it's just what I want to say about it, what's happening, and it's also it's balance, I guess. But yeah, I did a play, and it's funny because I'm I just want to, even if I just want to do something super simple, I'm like, this play, it's gonna be a play with no political anything, no messaging, and I wrote the whole thing, and it still had a slight political bias to it because they're talking about living wages and all those sorts of other issues, just kind of
topical stuff.
But not even on purpose. It just happened to be that way.
Right, it was on your mind.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
So let's go back, and I read in one of your interviews that there was a very inspirational puppeteer that sort of inspired you from back in the day named Paul.
Named Paul?
Paul. He's a 90-year-old guy. He recently passed away.
Oh, Paul Vincent Davis, yeah.
Yeah,
Paul
tell us
Vincent.
a little bit about him.
Oh, Paul Vincent Davis. He was wonderful. And we really only had a few meetings throughout his life, but he was someone. The way I remember Paul, there's so much to say about Paul. Paul was such a big person, but such a there's so many things, and I don't want to misrepresent him in any kind of way, is why I'm being as careful as possible, but...
Yeah. Well, how did he inspire you?
Well, particularly I was 19, and I was, kind of, erratic 19-year-old kid, and I just remember he's sitting outside, and I just kind of rudely was like, hey, you've been doing this longer than I have, and I was frustrated with who I was working with, and he kind of just says, I'm like, you got any advice, And And he's like, well, I try to remember the director is there to do their job, and I am here to do my job, and this is my job, this is the director's job. And we just had a whole conversation, and at that point he'd go on kind of like tangents, and I just remember learning about this this time someone asked for his set, and that also kind of set me in a very in a way about pricing and things like that. But this woman apparently came and asked for a piece of the set, and the way he put it, he said, you know, madam, that is how I make my living. You cannot just have a piece of my set. And you know, she's like, oh well, you can just make a new one. And he says, well, I'll tell you what, if you really want one, you can buy one from me, and it will not be cheap. You know, and that really like
resonated.
it did, because I'm like, no, and I try to remember certain things about him. And you know, when the last time I saw him, he was, you know, he couldn't really do puppets anymore at that point, and he was doing other things.
Right.
And his mind was so sharp, and he was like drawing these faces and, you know, writing these playing this number game. And I remember even there's a type of puppetry, type of puppet technique with old school like hand puppets, like Punch and Judy. And I took his hand puppet class with his mentee, and I did this in the puppet class. And he personally, my buddy, he was like, no, Nate, we don't do this. We do this. We do the split mitt. And I can't even do this anymore because I literally like, no, you do the split mitt. That's how you do it. And I kind of like said that. I'm like, and I remember the split mitt, you know, haha. And he's like, I'll be honest with you, just however doing puppetry works for you, that's how you should do it. You know, that's basically what he had said.
Yeah. Are there any other people that would you say that inspired you in your early days or even now?
I mean, there's quite a few.
Yeah.
Wayland Flowers, I would say, is definitely my biggest puppet hero. And the work I do is kind of sort of in that vein, but not, you know, entirely. And that was something I had to kind of learn too. Like even when I heard I was doing this show, I'm like, oh, it'll be like Madam in Manhattan. It's my favorite thing in the world. And it's like, yeah, it's Madam in Manhattan. And then you'll do the show like this, and then it'll go here. And then it's like, no, you're not that. You're not Wayland Flowers. That's Wayland. He did his show. You have to do it like you now. You know, that's. Right. I was trying to be Wayland for a long time. Okay. I wanted to be Wayland Flowers.
Yeah.
I was trying to find like that character, that everything, and present that way. And when I gave up, not gave up, but when I stopped looking, I was working on my lion puppet. And we can talk about him too. He's actually a whole thing with him. But my lion puppet, I was messing with him one day, and I made him laugh. I made him like like that, and I'm like, oh, okay, there it is. This is just that. Yeah. Cool, you know. I mean,
you found your own characters that needed to be drawn out from yourself too.
Yeah, they're all some weird part of me. They're all some. I mean, they're all somewhere inside. There's some little part of me, but it's something about them they want to come out.
Well, obviously you bring them out.
Yeah, no, it happens. No, they don't have a choice. You know, they're not gonna stop talking until they get out.
Exactly. So if you had something to tell the future generation of puppeteers, any advice that you would have for anybody that was coming up the ropes that would be beginning to be a puppeteer, what would you say to them?
I would say try to find yourself and try to find your personal voice. Because I know a lot of young puppeteers and new puppeteers will see, you know, what is truly incredible work. I'm not going to deny it. You know, and those are some of the best they'll see, and they want that. And if you want that, that is fine. But I think that everyone should try to find what works for them and not get discouraged if it's not quite, you know, if it's not quite what they're looking at, to try to find what it is. That's what I had to do. You know, I like to use hot glue. I don't like using patterns. I like, you know, everything is like very kind of the incorrect way of doing things, but that's how I found what I like. And I wish more people would, not ask so much, not say I want to make like I'm trying to put this properly. I wish more people, would look beyond what seems impossible so they don't get discouraged. It's like if you cannot make a Muppet, which is a very complicated, big thing to make,
Right.
Maybe you can find a way to make a puppet that looks just as good, that works well, that isn't that technique. I always say if you want to make a Muppet, you have to know how to make a Muppet. You have to know how to do everything to make a television-ready Muppet. If you want to make a puppet, whatever that means, don't necessarily focus on the one idea. Focus on, I guess, what it is that's speaking to you. What even beyond the puppet, right?
What's inspiring? What's inspiring?
What's
you to be a
inspiring, and that's
puppeteer, right?
also
Yeah.
that's also a part of it. My drag mother, I have a lot of wide range of performing families.
Right.
She said something that kind of clicked for me, and she's like, I don't want you to look like your favorite. I don't want to see your favorite drag queen. I want to see you. I want to see what you do, who you are, and also what inspires you outside of drag. So like, what outside of the actual puppet inspires you? What is it that's drawing inspiration for the puppet? Where are you drawing that from? Like, because a puppet's a piece of art, and it should be treated as such. And art draws from influence, and like, where are your influences for your puppet? Not just like, the puppet you saw on TV or so and so's puppet, and it's just like that. It's like, no. Where are you drawing? What characters? What parts of life? What books? What movies? Because it's all there. It's just this is puppetry is an art.
Yeah.
Puppetry is an art. It's vast. It's all encompassing. It's like music. There's no one way to do it. There you go. That's the answer. There's no one way to do puppetry. If I could truly answer it one way, there is no one exact way to do it. It's simply, movement and object performance, and sometimes not even object performance. But it's like there's a million ways to do this.
Right.
Find what you like. Find what speaks to you, and if that is Muppet, then go for it. But like, if you can't quite get that look, if you can't quite get that vibe, what else?
Right.
What else is there that draws you in? And find your voice. What is your true voice as an artist? Who are you? It's a hard question.
Yeah, it's a hard question.
But that is truly like
that's
the question.
That is
Who
the
are
question.
you as an artist?
Yeah.
To be that, you have to decide who you are and present that, and that's including puppetry. Even if it's just literally, I mean, my friend Esmeralda, is this. It's so, we were just talking about her. She's this really crude puppet, and it's like a sock.
Right.
It's like a sock covered in fleece and like pom poms, and most phenomenal show that you've ever seen, because it's so real, it's so true. It doesn't matter that she's not like.
It's simple.
It's so simple, but it's not. It's not. It's just what's done with it.
Yeah, exactly.
What Esmeralda is and how she's performed. That's the draw. Because if anyone's doing this puppet besides her puppeteer, it might not look right, but it's true. I'm going on a tangent now. But.
Well, Nate, thank you so much for the interview.
Thank you.
We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Great show. Good luck tonight.
Thank you.
Have a good one.